Welcome to the 2350 Effect.
Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to the 2350 Effect. I'm the co-host, collaborator, Damian Kinsey of the 2350 Network, the 2350 Effect, the Virtual Wellness Experience, and also the up-and-coming, coming real soon in October, Professional Work-Life Balance Summit. And I'm joined by, as always, my co-host and collaborator, Dr. Farron. Dr. Farron, introduce yourself and give them a little bit more information about your career.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Great to see you tonight on this Sunday evening. Tanya Farron. By day, I am a middle school principal. I've been in education for 30 plus years. My 5 to 9 and weekends is Creative Living Ideas, is the company that I own. I have authored 9 different books, including Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, A Parent's Manual. In addition to all those amazing things that my co-host and my partner over here, Damian, has shared with you about the great events that we have, I also host Parent to Parent. On most Monday nights, I'm taking a little hiatus right now, but Monday nights are Parent to Parent, as well as have a Parent to Parent YouTube channel, TikTok channel, all of those things. So check it out. I'm happy to be here tonight. Happy Sunday. And welcome, Christy. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here, as well as Leslie. Thank you so much. We're excited today. We've got a great guest for you. Somebody with some amazing energy, lots of great information. She's probably going to inspire some people tonight. What do you think, Damian?
I think so. And those people out there, please share this to anybody who is able to, benefit from this conversation, because our guest has definitely have a wealth of knowledge and information, and we want to share with everyone else. And those people who are out there who are streaming from YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, put your name in the chat so we can follow up and highlight you, and also go back to you and respond to your comments. So thank you for joining us. Our guest tonight is no stranger to the show, but we haven't seen her for a little while. She's been super, super busy. She is a author, publisher, editor. She owns her own business, entrepreneur, go-getter, public speaker, TEDx, two-time TEDx public speaker. She is so invested in the whole world of writing and publishing. Please welcome Porsché Mysticque Steele. Porsché, welcome. Oh, she's also a 2350 member. A founder 2350 member. Porsché, welcome to the 2350 Effect. Welcome back. Welcome home, rather.
Thank you. I know. I feel like I'm coming home. I feel like I've been out and about, and just my peoples is here, and I'm like, finally, I can come home, kick off my shoes, relax with family. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
I love that.
Good to see you. And I'm sorry, I had to mention that she has her own live events that she hosts, that she started up again. With the CEO Author Circle. She has authors who come on, tell their story, and she has a great conversation. So check that out. I think you moved this on Mondays now, right?
Yes, Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. So check it out. Go to our page and connect. All right. So I know it's been a while, but we always start with a So
She's
now,
giggling
laugh
already.
quote. See, probably got it on mine already, ready to go. So laugh quote text is that thing in the last 7 days that made you laugh out loud, get on the phone and call someone, or text them. So,
Man,
what's yours?
yes. So, all right, it's going to be reversed, right? My mom called me, and she was on the call with my baby sister, and was like, "Portia, what's one thing that you've heard me say growing up that will always stick with you?" This is what my mom's asking me, and I'm like, well, my mom is a prankster, so like her pranks will always stick with me. But if it's something that she said, it'll always be to always smile, that I had a beautiful smile. Because I grew up with crooked teeth. I still got crooked teeth, you know. I grew up with crooked teeth, and she was like, I don't care. We don't care if you got crooked teeth. You have a beautiful smile, so keep smiling. So my mom has built up my self-confidence. But what was funny was my baby sister and I are like, 13 years apart, right? So she's in the car and she's like, "That's what you got?" She said, "You and my older sister." She's like, "You and my older sister, y'all grew up with mom like giving y'all good stuff and feedback and pouring into you and affirmations." She said, "The one thing that I remember mom saying is panic and you die." And like that was her thing. She's like, she's gonna grow up, and when she start having kids, that's gonna be the one quote she remembers from mom: "If you panic, you die." In any setting. So now I'm just gonna hold on to that. And I told my mom, I was like, when I start having kids, I'm gonna pretend like I heard that growing up.
I love that. I love that. You're cracking me up, because I think that's right. That's a mom. Like, we got to stay calm at all times. We panic, it's over.
Exactly. So I thought that was quite funny.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Dr. Farron, how about you from this week?
Oh my gosh. So this weekend I had a great getaway with my mom. We went down to our lake house and we just giggled and laughed because she was so excited that we have a TV on our dock, and we went down there in our pajamas and watched a movie, and we watched USA in the World Cup. And so we watched their first game 2 different nights down there, and she just giggled the whole time. She couldn't believe we were sitting out there in our pajamas. I was like, who cares? We're in our backyard, basically. Who's going to look? And we just had so much fun together. So that's funny that we both had mom stories, Portia.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know. That is so funny. We lost Damien. Where did he go?
He just poofed. No, there he is. He's back.
Oh no, I had to get my laugh call text.
I knew it.
No way.
My Knicks are NBA champion. Those people who know Gregory, please get him on the live for this. My laugh call text is the New York Knicks last night, after 53 years, have won the NBA Finals and are the champions. That is way past my life span. I've never seen them win. I've seen so many losses. The energy in New York City is so amazing and unbelievable. That is my laugh, my call text. And if you're in New York, that probably is your laugh call text as well.
I thought about you. Oh my gosh, did I think about you this weekend? Oh man, that is exciting. I'm happy for you. So happy for you. And the rest of New York, they seem to be pretty excited about that Knicks win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. We're all excited.
I'm kind of looking forward to going down there. It's just so I can feel that energy. You know what I mean? Feel the vibe. I feel like the whole city is just going to be electric. So yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
And I want to say, I think Damien last week, I think Gregory was kind of giving you a hard time, wasn't he, about your Knicks? Oh yeah, you're going to have to get Gregory in here. Uh-huh. Maybe wow. That's funny. That's so funny.
Definitely. I haven't seen the energy of New York City like this and that ever. But this was an amazing run. You know, shout out to the Knicks. They say, you know, sports unite people, and it's been a great run. So
yeah.
Hey Linda, hey Jackie, thanks for joining us as well. Christy, as always, thank you for joining us as well. Dr. Farron, you want to take the first question?
Yeah. So absolutely. So Portia, you have written an award-winning book, and you're an award-winning book coach. So a lot of people are authors. There's a lot of people who are authors. So how have you turned your book into revenue? How have you made money with your book? How have you done it?
So I really look at leveraging and monetizing, right? A lot of people think that you're going to make money from your book, from book sales, and it doesn't work that way. Most of us make a very small amount. Like my book is $12.99 on Amazon, and I make $5 and change every time I sell a copy. So selling as is only one way to generate revenue from a book. So every nonfiction book has 13 streams of income. Fiction books have 22. So if you're looking at how can I leverage and monetize my book, that's where the money comes in at. So for me, I repurpose the content of my book. So I use my book to get paid speaking engagements. That's really, that's like high end, right? That's when if I want a big old chunk of money, I'll just like book a speaking engagement using the information from my book. But like smaller scale, I turn my book into a masterclass and I run that masterclass every month. And that's a huge revenue generator for me. And all I'm doing is pulling content from my book. But outside of that, you have things like online courses, you have workshops. A lot of people are turning their books into retreats. And that in and of itself is a revenue generator. So for me, I'm always tapping into ways to monetize the information that's in my book and leveraging and positioning my book to build my credibility and my personal brand, which opens doors to more opportunities, which are paid opportunities. And then, of course, using my books to get clients. So I'm consistently bringing in new clients who were readers and was like, okay, now that I'm done reading this book, I want to go ahead and work with Porsche. That's like the icing on the cake. So that's really how I generate revenue, is just by using, and I only have one book, right? The CEO Author. It's a very thin book, but it's punchy. It gives you the information you need, but I know how to work it into a funnel because of, positioning and leveraging skills.
I love that. I love that you said that there's so many different ways that you can earn a revenue from your book, because you're right. Book sales are minimal, unless you get into a big box store and you're on New York Times bestseller list, and you get this large commission just to write the next book. A lot of us independent authors, we do have to find other means. So I know those of you that are in the audience who are authors or going to be authors or want to should probably go back, re-listen to that beginning part from Porsche and join her lives that she has also, because I'm sure she's giving lots of great tips on that for authors. There's a lot to do with that. You're right. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. You said it's 13 streams of revenue. You probably rattled off 5 or 6. So I'm definitely interested in what the other 7 is, and I know probably our audience is. So I think that'd be definitely good for people to kind of follow up with you so they can learn more about others.
I list it out, you know what I mean? Like it's very public. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I have the CEO Author newsletter. And one of it is like how to generate money with your book. And I list all 13 ways right there. And the last solo episode that I did for the CEO Author Uncut, I went over those 13. So 13 is minimum though. If you're creative and you think out of the box, I'm sure you could find upwards of 20 ways to make money with your book. But 13 for me is like, for sure there's 13, but I think there's probably more.
Yeah.
Like that. And we were talking like backstage about, you have an event coming up, and I was like, is that like the event I went to? The thing that the great part about that event, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm about to tell you. So Porsche, she had a speaking engagement and an event to go to, and she ended up creating her own event as well. And it was virtually and in person in New York City. And this is the time when I was living in DC, Maryland. I was supposed to go up there for it, but I joined virtually. I think it was an amazing event. It was like a master class about publishing, doing your book, and also turning it into revenue as well. So it was really cool to see that as well.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I love just like not gatekeeping. Unfortunately, a lot of people gatekeep in the self-publishing space. And so authors are left to try to just wade through the overload of information that you'll get when you Google something, or if you say ChatGPT, how do I publish a book? And then it's just going to give you way too much information that you got to wade through. It's ridiculous. And it's a lot easier than people think if you just simplify it. And so that's the goal, right? is to just simplify the information and say, here's what you got to do. And there's no need to put a paywall behind it or in front of it and block that information.
I love that. That speaks to me that you have a mindset of there's plenty for everybody.
Right.
You know, there's plenty for everybody, and let me help people get where they need to be. I love that about you. I think that's amazing.
Speaking of about you, Porsche, like a lot of it is about writing and telling your story and being open. You have written a book. You have your own, like, basically a podcast, live stream conversation. You're also a public speaker. I know a little bit. I know a good part of your story, but for those people out there, who is Porsche?
Oh, that's such a hard question. Who am I? What, man? Well, do we start from the beginning, right?
She said we stumped her when we sent her some of these questions. So
yes, because like, how do you sum that up? Who am I? I am a lot. You know what I mean? You can't. But okay, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, born and raised. Woo woo, go Steelers. Moved to California when I was 16. And that's where the story really kicks off, right? So when my family moved to California, basically my father kind of turned our family into a cult. So we were experiencing all levels of abuse. And for 10 years, we were trapped in a house in Marietta, California. And just to fast forward through that, wasn't allowed to date, wasn't allowed to go to school, wasn't allowed to get a job, wasn't allowed to really do anything. So that was from 2009 to 2019. But while I was in that situation, books became my outlet, hence why I'm in the publishing industry, right? So I was reading books that taught me about the world that I was being kept from. And it was beautiful. It was amazing. I loved it. But after I graduated high school, I really had nothing going on in my life. Like I couldn't leave. I couldn't experience life. I couldn't do anything. So I would sneak online at night and download books or read books that people would upload to platforms like Goodreads or Wattpad, right? But these are amateur writers, and so they're riddled with errors. And somebody who's always been a bit of a grammar police, I was like, you know what? I need to do something about this. So I hit up these authors and I said, hey, I'm really not doing anything with my time. Would you mind if I edit this for you? And they were like, yeah, because who's going to say no to free editing, right? So I'm editing their books and still dealing with just about every level of abuse in the house. And it was tough, but ultimately I just really honed in on that editing. And in that time, I ventured onto a language exchange website. And I met a guy from Nigeria and I fell for him really quick, right? Head over heels. And he says, you know, this editing thing you're doing, you could probably make money off of it. And I was like, oh, he's right. So I created a profile on Upwork and I started freelance editing. I was doing it in secret. I started out editing for corporations and organizations all over the world. So I was doing like web copy, blog posts, social media content, things like that. And then eventually I ventured into the book space. So I did that and I didn't have a bank account, right? So I just had a PayPal account. So I'm saving all my money in the PayPal account. And then in 2019 is when my eldest sister said, Porsche, we can't do this anymore, right? The abuse has gotten out of hand. And she says, if we don't leave, I'm going to take my life. And I said, listen, I got 14 grand and a man on the outside. Let's go. So we literally took what we could carry, and we left on July 11th, 2019 at 3:00 in the morning. She went to Indiana to stay with a friend, and I flew business class to see the guy that I was dating from Nigeria. And the day that I arrived, he proposed to me. I said yes. We got married 3 months after that. We've now been married for 6 years. And while I was living in Nigeria is when I really ventured heavy into the publishing space. And I had a client, I was editing their books. They said, well, thank you for editing it. Can you help me publish? And I told him no, because I don't know how to do that. So he was like, well, I'm going to give you time and a little bit of money. I want you to go learn. And once you're done learning, come back and help me publish. And that's exactly what I did. And when I told him, because he spent about 40 years writing his book, and we published in 4 weeks. So when I told him, hey, we went from 40 years to 4 weeks and your book is live. And not only that, I got it to #1 on Amazon, and he started crying. And I said, okay, that that is what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life. So that year I started my publishing company, and that was 2021. We hit six figures that first year. By 2022, I was an award-winning book coach. By 2023, I had delivered my TEDx talk, and I came back to the United States in 2024 and really kind of just grew my brand and took off from there. And here we are.
Oh my gosh. What a story. Incredible. So incredible.
See, you were able to do it. You know, who's Porsche? Because the reason why I asked that question, because I didn't know how much you wanted to share with the audience and people. So I wanted to, that's your story. I want you to tell your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you for being considerate about it. But yeah, I think that's my story. But like, who I am in all of that is somebody that I've been able to create from scratch. You know, living in Nigeria, my husband was very adamant about allowing me to be me. So I became a blank canvas that I could paint anything on. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be the baddest in the publishing game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna be able to touch me, that sort of thing. And so I built up a lot of self-confidence. But I did take a lot of programs. I worked with mentors. I really worked on my mindset, really, and undid a lot of trauma that I had experienced. And so now I'm just like in my world, like I look in the mirror and I feel like I am the ultimate version of myself. And, you know, I'm just proud of that.
I think this is just the beginning of Porsche.
I think so too.
I do. I think there's a huge, bright future ahead of you that you don't even know anything about yet. I'm excited to hear about that. I'm excited for you. So you've been a TEDx speaker, which I think is incredible and amazing. Tell us about that experience. What was that like? How'd you do it? What was your topic?
Yes. So my topic is how writing your story can help you discover your true identity. And it's rooted in the concept that expectations kill who you are. And only when you understand the expectations that you are living up to through the process of writing your story, can you then discover who you truly want to be and what's in the way of keeping you from being who you want to be. But the TEDx stage was the first physical stage I ever spoke on. So again, I was living in Nigeria. I'd started my business, but it was all virtual, right? Like I started my company using the Montana Secretary of State website. So it was all online, and any speaking engagements that I had were in virtual settings, right? Plus it was during COVID, so nobody was doing live events anyway. But then I was on Clubhouse. If you guys know the social audio app, I was on Clubhouse and I was listening to a woman speak. Her name was Elaine Powell. And she was like, TEDx is a really great way to establish your thought leadership and help you share ideas with the world. And I'm like, that sounds like something that I might want to do, you know? So she was like, I'm doing this masterclass if you want to join. So I got in the masterclass, and man, talk about somebody slipping through somebody's funnel. I slipped and slid through her entire funnel. So I got on the masterclass, and then at the end, she had an offer, and then I signed up for the offer, and then I moved into her one-on-one coaching. And that was the best investment I could have ever made, because Elaine Powell is still my speaker coach. She's still in my life, but she prepped me for TEDx. So standing on that red dot, it was the culmination of everything, because my TEDx talk also included some of my personal story, which was the first time I ever talked about what I'd been through publicly. And so standing up there, talking to the audience and sharing that story, but also sharing the frameworks, was elevating. And I got bit by the bug. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought writing a book was going to be the thing that I do for the rest of my life. This speaking thing right here, yeah, sign me up. I need that 24/7. It was incredible. And I instantly got addicted. And after that, it was just like, I need a stage. Put me on the stage, put a mic in my hand, we're gonna rock it, because it moves me. And I think it's not really the stage that I'm addicted to, it's the energy of the people in the audience. I feed off of that. And it's a remarkable sensation to know that when you're speaking, other people are adopting the energy that you have. And so all y'all are just riding this wave together. That's a sensation that cannot be mimicked by anything else. Maybe music. But the point is, like, it's a vibe, and I love it. So, that was my experience.
Incredible. It's awesome.
I love that. I love the energy that you have that you bring to it. Like you can just feel the energy, even on a virtual setting. A lot of times, like we were saying, like sometimes virtual doesn't translate into in person, and then
Yeah.
sometimes in person doesn't translate to virtual. But you have the ability to do both. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Um, so you're comfortable with telling your story and your journey, and it's important for people to hear your story and your journey. But the question is, what story that you either read or heard that made you fall in love with writing and wanting to tell your own?
Man, so this kind of sound crazy. Um, the first author I fell in love with was Lemony Snicket. A Series of Unfortunate Events was really the first book that I picked up, and I was like, oh my God, this writing thing is a thing. And I remember being like, I think I was maybe 10 or 11 years old reading it and falling in love with not just the story itself, but being able to notice the nuances in his writing. And then I would compare it to like J.K. Rowling, because I was reading Harry Potter at the time. I was comparing J.K. Rowling's writing to Lemony Snicket's at like 10 years old. And I'm like, this Harry Potter thing, I mean, I know people are freaking out and they're loving it, but A Series of Unfortunate Events, if you see how it's written, and I was paying attention to how he would describe the characters and how you could visualize it. And, you know, no shade to J.K. Rowling, but she just didn't have what he had. And I could feel the difference. And so I really started getting into fiction writing as a kid because of him. And I can't remember his real name, but that's not his real name. But, you know, Lemony Snicket, I was really heavy into that. So then, you know, when life took its toll and things started happening, I kind of started to move away from that. But when I got back into the world of books, it came up for me again. And this time it wasn't fiction, it was nonfiction. Yet I would look at the style of Lemony Snicket's writing and apply that to the nonfiction world. And it was incredible to see authors who are writing nonfiction using fiction elements. That would be the thing that gave me goosebumps. So in the fiction space, definitely that. But then as I got older and I looked at the books that were actually going to shape, I didn't know it at the time, of course, but they ended up shaping who I am today. First was The Alchemist, right, by Paulo Coelho. And again, I was seeing the writing style. So it wasn't just the story, but it was the way that he wrote the story. Like if you read, I just dare anybody to analyze the writing style of Paulo Coelho. It's incredible. And his ability to describe a situation without needing to say exactly what's happening. Like, I don't even know how to describe it myself. Like I can't articulate it, but he does this thing where he can write what's happening without telling you what's happening, and yet you will still visualize it. You'll still see it and you'll still feel it. It's so hard to describe. It sounds crazy. So that writing style was exceptional to me. But most importantly, it was what I took away from The Alchemist, right? The concept of going on your personal journey, the concept of love without attachment. I really started to adopt those ways of thinking. But then in the nonfiction space, it was The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. I always say his name right? It's a tongue twister in and of itself. Wallace D. Wattles wrote The Science of Getting Rich, and it's the shortest book on basically manifestation and abundance is really what it's about. But I was looking at it from a business perspective. How does this apply to what it is that I want to create in my world? So I took those two books and they shaped my mindset while living in Nigeria to help me create what I've been able to create. And it has been an amazing journey. And for me, I steal from those authors, like their writing styles and things like that. And I bring that into the world of storytelling because it's so unique and you can feel the difference. I always say it's like the difference between singing and singing. Like everybody can sing, not everybody can sing. And you know it when you hear it. And so storytelling is the same way. We can all describe the events of something that has occurred, but only a handful of us can truly storytell. So much so that you get goosebumps when you hear it, or you feel the emotion as it comes out of the orator. Like, it's such a powerful sensation. And yeah, I've been addicted to that thing since 10 years old. So
Nice. When you're saying that, I understand exactly what you're saying, because my brain goes like that with cinema or music. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, you feel the difference. You know, you don't even need to articulate it. You can just feel it.
You can visualize with the symbolism in some songs, and also when you hear it. When I hear it sonically, I can hear it like the visualization and the pattern of things being set up for the next bar. Or it's the same thing with cinema. I can see, like, all right, that's hidden right there, and sometimes people don't catch it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's facts. But that is the difference between like storytelling verbally and then having it written, right? And that's why there's a uniqueness to it, because at the end of the day, you know that your reader is going to read in their own voice. You cannot hear the author's voice. So unless you hear that person speak all the time and then you went and picked up their book and read it. Like, I think a lot of people read Will Smith's memoir in his voice because you know what he sounds like. So as you're reading it, it probably won't be your own voice you're hearing. But if you don't know the author, you're going to read it in your own voice. So the author has to be aware of that. And so when they're storytelling, you have to understand that they're going to feel it differently based on how they receive information in their own head. So any storyteller who is good at storytelling through writing, you know they are a creative genius, because it's difficult to do that.
Love that. Dr. Farron, how about you? You're a writer as well.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was just agreeing with a lot of the things that you were saying, Portia. I mean, there are certain styles that just get you excited, or that you want to mimic, or it really helps you, as an educator as well. That's why we introduce children to so many varieties of writing styles, so they can learn about them and they can learn from them. And so it's important for us to see those different styles and learn from them. We're not just trying to just, feed it to them, but we really want to expand their mind and let them grow into learning how to write things, right? That's why we teach them how to write a narrative, a persuasive paragraph, right? A historical fiction, a nonfiction piece. So, those pieces are all so important to go through. You were just I was just going through my brain thinking about all of my favorite. Those of you in the audience, drop in your favorite author or favorite book if you can't remember it. And I'm going all the way back to like Dr. Seuss. And I know, like, I loved Dr. Seuss. I loved Go Dog Go. And actually, that was my favorite. I love animals. I love dogs. I actually have it on my shelf. I'm looking at it right now because about 3 years ago, it was one of my favorite childhood books as a child. And I love the last page when they have the dog party in the big tree. And so that's also another way of writing, right? When you're looking at illustrations and you're looking at pictures, and you can do a picture walk. And so looking at that, and I'm seeing, that I bought them for my daughters about 4 years ago. I bought 3 copies, one for me and them, because I have no idea where my copies were. And I don't know that I ever read it to them as a parent, but I wanted them to have that copy of that book. My favorite poet was Shel Silverstein.
Oh, yes.
I love it. I read that to my students for many, 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 many years. Yeah. As an adult, I love like romance novels, Danielle Steele. I love, I've recently been into Kristen Hanna. I really like her writing. Jojo Moyes, she has some interesting writing, but then I do love nonfiction books. Like I used to only read one book at a time. Not anymore. I got 3 going at all times, and I got 4 in my brain. So, and so I was able to take a lot of that from, personally my writing as well. Like you were saying, Damien, what did I want the book to look like on the inside? What did I want the font to look like? What did I want the cover to look like? There's so many things when you get all of these great examples that you can blend together to make your own personal style.
Absolutely.
Who were some of your favorite authors when you were younger? I know you said the Lemony Snicket series.
Yeah, that was definitely number one. As I got older, it became Stephen King. I was Stephen King all day. My favorite series of all time, even to this day, is the Mr. Mercedes series, right? Like just again, the way that he writes and the way that he tells a story and builds the character, like it was remarkable. And then they did the television series around it, and
Yes.
casted that so perfectly. Like I was very happy with that. But Stephen King became my favorite. But yeah, as a kid, outside of Lemony Snicket, oh my gosh. You mentioned Shel Silverstein. That was definitely a good one. I love that. But here's the thing. I was one of those nerds that loved the required reading in school. So the books that I grew up reading were the ones that we had to read in school. And I just fell in love with them. Like one was Number the Stars. That was such a
yes.
book. I remember reading that Imani All Mine. That was one of those books we had to read in was that middle school, and it really just kind of opened my eyes to a lot of different things, especially in Black culture. So that was interesting. But then as I got older, start moving into high school, I was Shakespeare all day. I had, and I still have it, an entire Shakespeare collection. That was all I wanted to read, mostly because I wanted to be bougie. Like I really had no other, no other desire. I just wanted to be the fancy person who knew
the one walking around with the big stack of Shakespeare.
Yes, I wanted to be able to have tea with somebody and say, let's talk about Hamlet. You know, I wanted to be one of those. I really got into Shakespeare. But I took a Shakespeare course. That was one of my electives. And so that was amazing. But then, you know, had to read Great Gatsby, and I dove. Then that was the first time I ever heard of Robert Redford, of course. So we read the book and then we watched the movie. Then I quickly fell in love with Robert Redford, and I was like, that's my new celebrity crush. I know he doesn't look like that now, but it's okay. He's still my man. You know, it was like a whole thing. And so, yeah, it was whatever required reading we had in school. I always dove in, and I loved every book we had to read. I've never been given a book that I didn't like.
That's awesome. Damien, what about you? What were some of your favorite childhood books that come back to you?
Helen Keller's story.
Oh yeah.
It was, for me, it was always relatable because I had scarlet fever 3 times as a kid. No, I had scarlet fever twice and German measles 3 times.
Oh my
So as a kid having that, like that was all under 3. So her story was connected because she had scarlet fever, and she was blind, but I wasn't blind. So
yeah,
remarkable. It's crazy. I was sick a lot as a kid, but as an adult, I don't get sick.
Hallelujah.
That's good. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. So we were talking about our books being, you know, that we liked when we were younger. So what did younger Portia want to be when she grew up?
Oh, I was a Broadway star. I knew I was going to be on Broadway. I remember being like 7 years old telling my mom, don't worry, Mom, I'm going to get you those free tickets to the Broadway show because I'm going to be there. Like my mom was always into like Broadway musicals and things like that. She loved that stuff. And she used to always want to go, but like we never could. She's never seen a show on Broadway. So I remember being young, telling her, don't worry, Mom.
I got this, Mom.
Yeah, I got you. So I wanted to be an actress for sure. Theater was huge for me. I loved it. I was in school plays. I did musicals. I went to a German magnet school, so I grew up learning German and delivered an entire monologue in German for this German play that I was in. It was incredible. It was so fun. So that's what I wanted to be when I was a kid. And my dad was also an actor though, so like it was kind of lined up. So seeing him do a couple of plays and things that he's done, I'm like, yo, I want this. And then of course, when I found out we were moving to Southern California, I thought we were moving to Hollywood. No, Marietta is not Hollywood. No. But I was, I'm wanting the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. I'm thinking this is my big break. But life had other plans, so that didn't work out at all. But that's really what I wanted. But I'm glad that I let that dream go. I'll just say that. I'm glad I did not pursue that.
Well, we all have those dreams when we're kids, we have those things. I'm pretty sure I was on the same path You know, the amount of times that I stood on my neighbor's fireplace and me and my best friend belted out the lyrics to Grease or whatever other songs we had on the record player and into our microphones, I know we were sure to be a star one day.
I love it. My mom still teases me about it. She was like, you know, you only wanted to be an actress because you love the spotlight. And I'm a middle child, you know what I mean? So I'm always, you know, stunned. Look at me, you know, that has always been me. So she's like, what you do now is just a variation of that. You still will find time to put a microphone in your hand or stand on a stage. So she'll always tease me that I might not be acting, but I'm still in the spotlight.
That's right. That's right, girl. I like it. I like it. That's funny.
So, speaking like adjustments, like you grew up in Pennsylvania, then you moved to California, you end up in Africa. What is that adjustment period from space and places and stuff? Because even the climate and the weather is different. So,
Yeah.
and what did you learn about yourself in each location?
Man. So, you know, just to remember, I didn't really have much of an identity while I was in the US. It was only when I got to Nigeria that I started to discover who I was and what I wanted in life and how I wanted to be. So living in Nigeria, I feel like I grew up there. You know what I mean? I feel like I was born and raised there because I came into who I am while I was there. So oftentimes Nigeria feels more like home to me than the United States. I'm not quite comfortable here even just yet. And I've been here for 2 years because I became, you know, I was trapped in that house for 10 years. From 16 to 26 years old. So I left at 26 and that was the first time I was an adult. So I basically grew up in Nigeria. So I had to learn everything there and it made it easy. So like, I know the tax system. I know how rent works. I know how the politics work. I know how I know all of that stuff in Nigeria. So it was more of a culture shock coming back to the United States because that was the first time as a free woman that I'm in my own country. And it didn't feel like my own country. Nigeria feels like my own country because of the situation. So coming back here, like I had to learn that you guys pay rent monthly here and not yearly. In Nigeria, we pay yearly. I had to learn how taxes work here. Had to learn how credit works. Didn't even know that was a thing because credit isn't a thing in Nigeria. So it was a bit of a culture shock and a sticker shock to come back to the United States. And I'm still adapting and still learning a lot of things that I didn't know before. So I think right now because I'm so confident in who I am, regardless of what I'm learning in the country itself, I feel quite solid. And now I finally have my husband. So my husband joined me in the United States this past October. So now I got my partner back. And so like now I feel like I can do anything. But the adjustment phase, I think, was the 2 years that me and my husband were apart. So I left Nigeria in 2024 and he didn't join me until 2026, right? So that the 2 years I was by myself in a country that I didn't know, which is the United States, right? But I'm in a country that I don't know as an adult. And it was hard. It was really difficult. It was easier to adjust in Nigeria because I don't know why. Maybe I was open or maybe it's in my blood. I don't know. My mama did the DNA test. Maybe we find out that she's Nigerian. I don't know. But I adapted so quickly while I was over there. Adapting coming back to the US was really hard because it was not at all like I remembered. Not only that, but I left pre-COVID and came back post-COVID.
Yeah.
So the country was already fundamentally different.
Sure.
But now I'm also an adult for the first time here. So it was really hard those 2 years, but I'm finding my footing now because I feel like I'm learning with my husband because now he's also in the US for the first time. So we're kind of learning this together. And I don't think I'm done adjusting, if I'm being honest. I think it's still happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. I just want to thank a couple people in the audience before we go to the next question for joining us. Thank you, Gregory, for being here with us, and Linda Meyer and Lisa Fevick. Thanks so much for joining. Steve Schuler, thank you for being here. Kenneth Dunner, appreciate you. Ryan Moeller, thank you so much. Victor Yabara, appreciate you being here as well. Jackie Hallberg, Leslie Flowers, Christy Williams. It is great to see everybody here tonight. We appreciate your support and getting to know Porsche even better. And did I miss somebody? I'm sorry if I missed someone. I'm trying to go through this list, but I appreciate you being so transparent and so honest with our audience and telling them about you. And along that line, you've been through a lot of adversity in your childhood and in your life. What advice would you give someone who would be 16 to 25 years old in between that age about overcoming adversity, maybe staying the course to accomplish their dreams?
I think, y'all gave the wrong person the microphone. Listen, if I'm going to be honest.
I want you to be honest.
Okay. Because I feel like if I didn't have the situation that I had, I would have been hard-headed. I think a lot of people in that age bracket right now are hard-headed. We think we know everything. And so I feel like if I were to give advice to somebody in that age bracket, it's like, listen, you got two options. There's people around you right now that are going to tell you what you should be doing. Some of them are going to be right. Some of them are going to be wrong. You have to determine who is right and who is wrong. But at the end of the day, you can choose to listen, right? Because those who have gone through it know. So I think people in that age bracket should be listening to the people who are going through it. So option one, listen to them and skirt the, kind of bypass some of the mistakes that they made so you don't have to make them. Or option two, continue to be hard-headed and just be willing to make the mistakes. Like, go ahead and stick the fork in the outlet. That's how I always see it. That's what it is. It's like, go on and touch the stove and get burnt. Right? Make a choice though. So either be hard-headed or listen. And if you're going to be hard-headed and you're like, I know everything, I'm good, I got this, I'm locked in, then be okay with falling in a ditch because you didn't do what people around you told you should do. Or just listen to the people that have gone through it. And I think when I left home and I went to Nigeria and I got all these mentors, I learned from their mistakes so that I didn't have to make them. Because I knew that, being 26 and venturing out into the world for the first time without really knowing anything or anyone, I knew that I could potentially make a whole lot of mistakes, do things that I shouldn't do, and end up in spaces that I probably would regret. So I was intentional about making sure that I would get mentors that didn't just say, go Porsche, you got this, but would tell me the real, like, honestly, these are the mistakes that I made and this is what I learned. Like, I needed mentors to tell me that stuff so that I can listen and say, okay, don't do that, don't do this, and don't do that, right? And so because I did that, I was able to garner a lot of success quickly because I was learning from everybody else. So that would be my advice. If you're 16 to 25, learn from other people. And if you don't, be okay with making those mistakes.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you say basically be open-minded, right? To hearing and learning from other people that you don't have all of the answers.
Yes.
There is wisdom for a reason, right? With age comes wisdom.
Yes.
A lot of people are always like, they get these hangups about being older, but think about how much wiser you are at the age that you are now, Yes.
And that's like, for me, I always just kind of joke about this, but some of my closest friends have 20 years on me. Like all of the people that I keep in my intimate circle are significantly older than me because I enjoy not being the smartest person in the room. Like if I'm the smartest person in my friend group, I need a new friend group.
I love that. I agree. We should be constantly growing. I agree. I was just having that conversation with my mom in our car ride home today. And I told her, I said, it's kind of your and my dad's fault because my parents were always high achievers, always reaching for the next rung, the next job, the next, I want to get to this level now. I want to get to this level now. And I said, it's kind of your fault that I'm the way I am because I emulate that from you. You always have a growth mindset. Even at 78 years old, you're wanting to learn something new. You're wanting to try something new, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because sometimes people think that they can only learn from people who were successful, but you can learn from other people's failure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Good point, Damien. Yeah.
So what would you rather? Would you rather write one book that lasts forever, or would you have one speech that is memorable?
God dang. One book that'll last forever, or one speech that's memorable. Okay, I just forgive me for the way I'm answering these questions, okay? But I think it's nuanced. It's a little layered, okay? Because I think it is also going to depend on kind of who you are. So, okay, I'm talking about me. So I am not like globally known. I'm not an Oprah yet. Okay. So I'm not an Oprah just yet. So people don't know me on that level. If I were to deliver a very powerful speech, it will not go super far. It's not going to become the next Emancipation Proclamation. It won't become the next I Have a Dream, right? Because who you are does determine where your speech goes. But when you're writing a book, you could be absolutely nobody and write a book that will shift and change the entire world. So I think I would rather write a book, because not only will it be memorable, right? It'll never go out of style. It'll be produced in multiple different formats, so people can read it, they can listen to it, they can do whatever. And it stays. And yes, a speech does stay, right? We're still listening to speeches from however long ago. But again, if you're not already somebody in a high position where your speech can impact people like that, it's just going to be among the noise. And right now, we're a day and age where everybody named Mama is a speaker, right? Everybody has something to say. So my speech, no matter how powerful it might be to the people who are listening to it right there, the ability for it to go viral is, there's a possibility that it can, but the probability of it lasting the way a book will last is slim. Because right now, everybody's looking for the next great content, right? You listen to a powerful speech today, it'll last for about a week, and then a week later, they're on to the next thing. But a book is evergreen. It never goes out of style. So you'll read it today and still think about it 20 years from now, right? And then you're going to pass it on. You're going to tell other people to read it. You're going to keep it on your shelf. You're going to gift it to your children. You'll tell your kids to read it. Like, that's the power and the longevity of a book, the way that a speech doesn't have, unless you're already somebody. So you have to be somebody to have a powerful speech that lives forever. You can be a nobody and have a book that lives forever.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's your answer, so
I know it. I think it's a very valid answer.
yeah.
Very valid answer.
And you brought up some great points,
Mhm.
about visibility, and also the landscape of how information is being consumed now. So
Yeah.
those are all good things to think about if you're writing in a book or you're writing a speech as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. That isn't to say don't do the speech though, okay? Yeah, still do the speech. But if we're talking about forever, you want it to last forever, you want it to change lives, it's got to be in a book.
Yeah. I do. I agree. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to piggyback off of that for you. Like, if you're writing a book, I'm going just nonfiction. My brain's going nonfiction book, right? There's all those workshops and lessons and things that can come along with it that can continue to grow year over year over year over year. And I think that makes it powerful.
Yes, I'm still here. My camera died and I don't know why.
You're all right. You're okay. You're good. You're back. You're back. So you were a guest speaker at our very first virtual wellness summit and a founding 2350 network member. Tell us about what your experience was like at that first summit.
So I was looking at that question. You guys don't know this, but that was the first event I spoke at when I came back to the United States for the first time. So It was, oh, what I tell you, I had so much imposter syndrome around it at first because I'm like, man, I'm back in the States. Am I really going to be doing this? Am I going to speak? Are people going to care? You know, is it going to be what I want it to be? So I kind of had that in my head. But you guys made it so easy. It was so smooth. And then I think the biggest thing that I don't get from other events was the community behind it. So all of the speakers were supporting each other. They were, you know, in the same space together. We were in each other's segments. Like that was such a beautiful experience because it made me feel like I wasn't just the talent, if you will, right? Like, we're going to bring you in to speak and then, okay, bye, go on your merry way. It was like, well, what we're building is something bigger than the summit itself. We're building a network, you know, 2350 network really blew up after that. But that really was the sensation. That was a feeling and it was beautiful. And I think the other thing was that we had such a wide range of topics, right? Everybody had something different that they were bringing to the table. So that was amazing. And then the information, the communication that you guys had with us was really great. So I really enjoyed the entire process. I never got lost. I never was like, well, what link do I use? You know what I mean? I didn't have any questions at all. It was clean. It was clear. It was amazing. So it was a beautiful experience for me.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. I do remember. I remember you was in Africa before
Yes,
in the beginning, and then you were like, "Oh, I'm in the States now." Then we was talking, and even down to the topic, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna adjust my topic," and, and he was like, "Can I do it?" I was like, "Sure, it's yours. Like it's your, you know." And we wanted you to make it your own, and it was cool to have that. We did the magazine. It was fun. It was a fun experience.
I think the first time I met you, you were in Nigeria too.
Yes, I was. And like, it was interesting because it's true. When I flew back, I had already had the summit on my calendar, right? So it was a little confusing at first because I'm like, I'm in a different time zone now.
I was just going to say we had time zone conversations. I recall.
I don't know when to get off. It was a whole thing.
You know, Porsche, I had no idea before I started Creative Living Ideas how many time zones I was going to be adjusting to. And I love it. It's incredible when you're international, you know, it is amazing. And we have, I would say almost all of our events have been international. We've been, you know, having people all across the world joining us and presenting. So it's been just amazing. I love that.
That is awesome.
Yes. So we're so glad that you joined us. We hope you joined us again some other time, but we are grateful that you joined us for that one event. It was wonderful.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
And you did a great job. You did a great job and sold some books even at that event.
I did.
I got your book there. Yeah. I'm excited to read it. It was great.
Thank you.
So what's next for Porsche?
Ooh, boy.
Oh no, hold on. And congratulations for your husband being here too. I know that was a process as well. So, you know, and having that support system too. So what's next?
What's next? So speaking has really taken off for me. So I've been booking about 4 to 5 stages per month. And so I'd like for that number to go up a little bit, like 7 or 8 per month would be really awesome. But the biggest thing is that I have the opportunity to restructure my business because I now have a really awesome partnership with Advantage Media. So they do Forbes books, Entrepreneur books, South by Southwest, and Rethink. And for me, it was important to make sure that I had the right partnerships and the right connections so that I can offer more to my clients, right? As like a boutique publisher, you can only do but so much. So when your clients have a bigger dream and a bigger vision, and you realize I can't execute that full vision, I can only take you part of the way, it's a little disheartening. But as an associate publisher for Advantage Media, I now have the opportunity to offer so much more to authors who want to go above and beyond, right? And for me, it was about being in those spaces. Like, I think the independent publishing space is full of people who just did the thing, right? They just wrote the book and they threw it up there and they hoped for the best. But there are several individuals who were like, yeah, I want a book, but I want to do it the right way. I don't want to wing it. I don't want it to feel like it was something that I just threw together. Like, I want it done the right way. And being able to provide authors with that has been very fulfilling for me. So that is the next thing is, and that, man, we haven't even, the ink is still wet on that contract. So I'm very excited about that. And then the other part of that is definitely my involvement with TEDx Temecula. So I'm the speaker coach for my local TEDx organization. I also consult on a number of TEDx organizations across the nation. And it's been a beautiful experience to be a part of an organization that brings out incredible ideas that the world should hear. And it just completely aligns with my overall view of the world and like what I want to contribute to the world. So not only do I get to publish top tier books, and I'm not just talking about like the books that influencers are putting out and they're leveraging their names to like make it happen, but I'm talking about like the next Think and Grow Rich. Like, imagine being the next Napoleon Hill because your book has really awesome, innovative ideas. So birthing those books and then birthing the ideas for a stage like TED, it's just so fulfilling for me. So it's something that I'm already doing. So it's not necessarily what's next, but I would say the continuation of that has been exceptional. And I guess the next big thing for me is to really find that next author that will be a Napoleon Hill, and to say that I helped that author get there, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And I know that person is right around the corner. It's just like, I'm hunting for them. I'm like, I need to find that individual. So I think that's going to be the next big thing, finding that person, writing the book, putting them on the TEDx stage, and just pushing them out into the world is what's next for me.
I love that.
It's amazing. Scrolling across the screen is Portia's website. Go to her website, get more information. Also, connect with her if you're not connected, and hopefully that individual might be sending you some messages in your DMs
I hope so.
on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, and be the next person that you inspire as well to take the stage and write the book. Wow, time has gone by fast.
It has.
It did. That was quick.
But we don't finish unless we go to a quote.
Do you have a favorite quote that you want to share, Portia?
I do.
Okay.
I do. It has a backstory.
Okay.
So I am huge into puzzles, right? I love puzzles. And besides jigsaw puzzles, one of the things that I love are cryptograms. So when I was about 12, I went to the store with, I think it was my dad, and there was, I think it was like Rite Aid or something. I don't even know if Rite Aid still exists. But anyways, it was Rite Aid, and there was a cryptogram book, and on the front cover was a cryptogram. And you had to solve it before, and I was going to go into the book and solve all the puzzles inside the book, but I was like, nah, let me do the cover one. And it was a quote by George Bernard Shaw. I was 12 or 13. And the first cryptogram I ever solved was the one that was on that cover. And the quote says, I want to get it right. I don't want to mess it up. Hold on. And I'm going to pull it up. But yeah, so that's the backstory, right? So the first book, or what do you call it? The first cryptogram that I ever finished was that first one on the cover of the book. So the quote says, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man." So I remember being like 13 years old, completing that quote. And I remember looking at it like, what the flip does that mean? Like, I didn't understand it at all. And I remember just once we got home, I'm sitting there because I finished the cryptogram in the car. So once we got home, I'm looking at the quote and trying to understand it at like 12 or 13 years old. I'm like, I feel like there's something here. And I remember I pulled out my journal and I wrote out the quote on the journal page, and I started analyzing word for word for word. And I started thinking about reality and the world that we live in and some of the innovations that we've come across, and like the way that we're able to connect with one another. And like Facebook was huge at the time, right? So it was just coming out, and YouTube was just coming out. So I was like, wow, these are innovations that's new to the world. And so I'm reading that quote and I'm realizing like, oh, George Bernard Shaw is pretty much saying you got to kind of be crazy in order to create anything in this world. And as long as we continue to have crazy creatives, the world will always progress. It will always move forward. So at 13 years old, that became my favorite quote. And I would write it on everything. Every notebook anybody ever bought me, I would write it at the top.
Read it again for us.
Yes. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Got it. Dr. Farron, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go along with our book theme tonight and say that's the thing about books. They let you travel without moving your feet. So you can go anywhere that you want to go in the world. All you have to do is pick up a book.
Oh, I like, who did that one?
I don't know. I just looked this one up. I just found it. I was looking for something. I don't know. The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. That's the thing about books. They let you travel without moving your feet.
Amen.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
You both have good ones.
What's yours?
Oh, it's easy. Don't let 10 minutes of a bad moment disrupt the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of your day. Make every minute, every day count. The 2350 Network. It's time to bring people together.
Amen.
You can thank Nick and Christy for that. It's like, you got to say it more. Now say it every week.
Every week.
I'm glad.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Porsche. We appreciate having you with us. We're grateful that you're a 2350 Network member, as well as we just wish you much success in your career. And thanks to everyone in the audience who joined us, and Felipe and Josette for joining us. Even at the bitter end, we are so grateful for your time tonight, and everyone else that has been here tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. This was fun.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys.
Yep.
And connect with Porsche. And if you're connected with Porsche and haven't spoken or reached out and connected with Porsche, reconnect with her. You know, she has so many things going on as well. And we love when people collaborate with each other. So until next week, those people have a safe and happy Sunday going into your Monday.
Bye, everyone.